Hello, everybody, and welcome to Silent Podcast, the place where everything but silent. Back again with our first Big Brother Canada 11 coverage. Yes, we are very excited to be returning once again. And we have a very special guest. We have Miss Arisa Cox, the host and executive producer of the show. Arisa, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity. How are you doing today?
I am so good. You guys look so good. I'm so excited to be kicking off the coverage this year of Big Brother Canada. Like, it has been over 10 years. I cannot believe we're still here. You don't understand, this rarely happens in Canada that a show lasts this long and then also continues to elevate. I think that's why we're still around and why I'm so excited about the cast. Like, this is my favorite part. No, it's not my favorite. It's one of my favorite parts because, as you guys know, as you know, diehard fans, like, it doesn't matter how beautiful the house is or how like ill the twists are or oh, that is that a new veto. You know, it's about the cast. It's about the people. Period. If you have people that you want to root for that are not perfect, that you love to hate or hate to love, like that is what makes the show. And everybody knows there's seasons where you're like a couple weeks where you're just like,
Absolutely.
now what? Now what? Now who am I gonna right? But then it comes back around and weird stuff happens and like, you know, red gummy, ever heard of it? Like stuff that we do not plan comes and like blows the top off the whole thing. That happens all the time. But man, when you really find one or two or five people to root for, it can be so exciting. And people who don't watch have no idea. Like me, like I call my sister. I'm like, oh my god, Feed's back. Did you see Orbito? Like that's a whole special thing, and only we understand that. There's a lot of people who just don't even know what that's like. But and then I was gonna say sometimes there are people who you love rooting for, but it's so stressful.
Absolutely.
It's stressful. Okay, I'm gonna stop. You guys go.
No, you hit it on the nail. I wanna your resume, first of all. I just have to give some of the accolades. You are that girl. I obsessed. But a lot of people don't know that you actually did do reality television at one point, and so to see you go from one to another is a beautiful evolution. And I feel like it's so I like important that you can go from one to the other and show that evolution for those, who also want to partake in, that work style. So I was really curious to you, what are you looking for contestants to provide for their auditions as you kind of seen both sides of the lenses?
Yes. Yes. Well, first of all, I can't believe you dug that little tidbit up about me. Yes, I was on a reality show called The Lofters 21 years ago or something. I was 22. Okay. I was like, I'm leaving journalism school to do this cool show. My mom was like, West Indian mom, Trinidadian mom. She's like, excuse me, you're doing what now? So I did it, and then I went back to school because I promised her that I would. But yeah, I did the show for a year. So we were able to leave and come and go like the real world more. But I do have that experience for a year living on cameras and having cameras everywhere. And it's such a weird experience, but it's so unique.
Mm.
And if you're not afraid of that, like you do have to have a certain amount of whether it's confidence or narcissism, whatever, you actually do need a bit of ego to be able to believe that you will be someone interesting to watch for that time. But we need that. I think this show is for people who really do want to live an unusual life and have unusual experiences, because you never know what it's going to be like. You don't know who else is going to be cast with you. You don't know what Big Brother has in store for you, all of that. But it's really like this incredible risk that is like a once in a lifetime thing. And the people who are really able to take something from it and turn it into a career, it's amazing. And then there are people who just want that one unique weird experience and then move on with their lives and go back to their job in HR or whatever. Like you don't know how everyone is going to treat the show after they're done. But if you kind of surrender to this incredible experience, I think there's so much to be gained. And I know me, like weirdly, I'm gonna tell you a secret. I was low key a little bitter when I left my show. And that was a year, okay?
Yeah.
And it took me probably 6 months to like decompress from it. And then I looked back and I realized like how much I learned about myself. People talk about that at the end of the game all the time. And it's like sometimes you're like, okay, you know, sure, Jan, but like, it's true because you just sometimes don't know who you are until you're up against the wall or you're under pressure or stress. Sometimes people learn things about themselves that they were afraid of and didn't know they had, or we didn't know they had in them, right? And sometimes they really find out how tough they are because when everything around you changes and we have no one around you that you truly can trust or know, no family, no loved ones, you find out who you are, like what remains. And I think that part of Big Brother is really, really powerful because people will show themselves. Like we don't have to do all that much.
Sure.
People will show themselves because they are under stress, and it brings out the absolute best in people and occasionally the worst.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Arisa, so I have a question. So Josiane's actually from Canada. I'm from the US. And something that we're seeing over here, specifically with Survivor, we're starting to see a lot of Canadians actually coming over to their shows. So, I mean, you're in this position now. Do you guys ever have any plans, out of curiosity, to have like opening casting for the US people to come over to your show?
Okay, well, if the question is would I love to see it, the answer obviously is yes. We just came off of like some serious Canadian domination of US Survivor. Like, what? You mean two women winners in a row, both from Canada? So I'm not really surprised that there's no Canadians on the cast this year. Wasn't surprised. But of course, there are plans. But we can only do what we can do, you know? Like, any idea you're like why don't you do that, what I guarantee you it's been on the table. Like we have thought of every single thing, and there's lots of things we try and are not able to do for whatever reason. Legal franchise, like all those things are behind the scenes, right? What we can promise is that you know we try hard at this, like Big Brother Canada does not phone this in. Like we all very much care about the integrity of the game, how good the show is, how the cast feels, and if they feel supported. We care about so many little details, from the challenges to this beautiful house that we build every year. We put in the work. We care so deeply, and I feel like all of the heads of all of the departments are so good at what they do, and when you come together, that's fire. But that's only as good as the cast. So please, if you've ever thought of it, or you know someone who say kind of vaguely knows about Big Brother, like tell them they don't have anything to lose by recording like a minute video saying this is who I am. We really just want to see your essence. We want to see what you think about the game or who you like or what kind of game you think you would have. That's all that's important to us to start, right? Because if we see a spark, we're gonna get to follow up and see if there's more there when we talk to you. And this is how you picture it. The game is, there's a lot that's social interaction, and social politics obviously is the game. But when you're doing your video, just picture that it's a DR. Picture that's a diary room. It's just you, right? You know you've got a good cast member when they're in the DR and they are killing it. You're on the floor laughing. They're doing something that you didn't expect, or they're being real. They're not shouting. They could be like, we want to see who you are, and we can relate that video to what you would look like in the DR. So think about that. If you see it and you're like, I wouldn't really want to watch this person in the DR, then do it again. Send it.
I'm glad that we kind of talked about the audition videos because I know the deadline is coming up soon. I'm interested. There's so many layers of one person, and that you have such like a short amount of time. And you talked about having this DR style. Is like for people, there also is the saying that you say like, don't tell us, show us. How much
Yes.
of that would you want that be included? Would you want them to show you clips, for example, of them being competitive in a sport? Or would you rather them just tell you about the sport? Like what is that fine balance between the two?
Okay, that's a really, really good question. I think you have to distill it, right? Because we're not going to be able to hear your life story. And saying I'm competitive because I play volleyball is not enough. You need to have an example, because this is a big thing. Almost all of the most iconic players are really, really good storytellers. So they're not going to say, oh, I'm conniving. They're going to say, oh, this is how I made sure my coworker didn't get that promotion, but I got it. You have to have the story to back it up. Don't just say I played sports. Say I I don't know. I came back early. Or I dumped my boyfriend just so that I could be there for the championship offset game or whatever. Like, tell me a story that proves it. Because I think a lot of people do that. They think, first of all, they think, oh, they just want like people who are like, I'm a wild and crazy guy. No, we don't actually want that. We want original. So if that's part of who you are in your DNA, then tell us that, but give us a reason why we should believe you. Because people say all kinds of things about themselves that are not true. And some of them are more aspirational. I wish I was like this, but they say, oh, I am like that. And you're like, oh, really? How? And they're like, if you can't think of it, then we're gonna be like, okay, maybe you're not that thing, but maybe you're something else. So I always say, like, find out what is your magic, what is your special sauce, your secret spice, and then really lean into that. So if you are, people think you're shy, but you're extremely conniving, lean into that. If you are really chaotic, lean into that. We love chaotic.
That's true.
Probably the hardest on us is production, but we love to see it. So I think find that thing that, and if you don't know, if it's not super obvious to you, ask your friends, ask your best friend, ask your roommate, because they probably will be able to tell you.
All right, Arisa, we don't have any more time, but thank you so much for giving us this opportunity. I don't know if you remember, but you definitely got us on Exit Press last season. That was our first time doing anything like this. So it was so awesome. We're so appreciative of you and everything you're doing for the TV community. We love you. Very last question is just a quick yes or no, because I had a friend who wanted to ask. Did you listen to Renaissance from Beyonce?
Did I listen to If you're listening to this on audio, first of all, this is what I love about silent podcasts, is that you're the realist, because you would ask a question like that. Not only, like, it is literally the soundtrack, but all my kids know every word. That, let me tell you, Taylor Hill, like, wasn't that a moment? Watching her listen to the album from start. I'm glad she didn't get it first. I'm glad she got Janet Jackson first for her first HOH, because when that hit, she needed to hear it. And watching her listen to it for the first, do you remember the clips where she's like, Beyonce? It was, I Got My Life. It is such a good album, and everybody needs to, like, love it, own it, live it. So I love you guys for asking that, and I love you guys for existing. You have such a great podcast. I love hearing different opinions, and that's a big criticism I know a lot of the press side of Big Brother over the years has gotten, is that you get a lot of the same voices over and over and a lot of the same opinions, and it's so refreshing to hear. Listen, I'm not going to agree with everything that anybody says, right? But I'm standing in a very unique vantage point, so being able to see the different ways people receive the show and house guests and all of that is so exciting for us. And, like, keep it up. You guys are doing it. You guys are doing it.
Thank you, Arisa. All right, guys, have a good one, and looking forward to Big Brother Canada 11. Have a good one. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.